Call this meeting of Subcommittee 3 to order. I apologize for being late. I was upstairs unavoidably. Madam Clerk, could you open the roll? We'll take attendance. We know you're here. All right, looks like we have a quorum. Thank you very much. All right, first on our agenda this afternoon is Chair Watts. You had wanted to start with 979. Is that right, Chair Watts?
That is correct, Mr.
Great.
Chairman.
All right.
And again, parliamentarily, we are starting with 979 because as I go through it, you will see that it is comprehensive. So it is by far the furthest reaching of all of the bills that we will be looking at today. And you'll also see as we go through it, you'll see two things. You'll see the vintage Vivian there's some fine print here and there was a lot more gray on the page fine print because it does make a difference. Yes, I tend to go to 2 decimal points, but now we are rounding it up so that people can understand what's at stake. But you'll also see eventually a really revealing chart that I did just a couple of months ago that in part broadened my thinking about what kind of tax reform we need in Virginia desperately at the state and at the local level. So there are handouts here if people haven't picked them out, but here's the non-vintage Vivian as concisely as possible with bold print saying, first of all, tax cuts do make a difference in real lives. Again, I came from a rural area. I helped my sister in her last decade on Social Security. I know what it's like to shop for the bargain constantly and make do with what you have. So the package is composed of, first of all, $700 million tax cut for 9 out of 10 Virginians by raising the standard deduction to $12,000 for singles and $24,000 for joint filers. Ever since 2017, when the federal code was changed and a lot of itemized deductions were taken away, and Virginia conforms with the federal code in that if you take a standard deduction at the federal level, you have to take it at the state level. 9 out of 10 people take the standard deduction. It is crucial that we stay up to date with inflation in the standard deduction. And just in case the standard deduction doesn't mean to everybody what it means to me, it means that that's how much we don't tax. The more you raise the standard deduction with inflation, it's what you don't tax. So that with taking it then from that side of the ledger, rather than worrying about things up at the top, we've had several bills recently that have talked about the average cut by doing something at the top. Well, the average cut turns out to be maybe $50 if you're lucky, at under $50,000, but it'll be $3,000, $4,000, $5,000 at the top. Looking at the standard deduction, which for everybody raises what we are not taxing, we are essentially giving everybody at least $180 permanent tax cut. And again, the bill is permanently increasing the standard deduction as it always used to be done in the past. Our tax changes were permanent. We said we've got the sustained revenue to make them permanent. But that's for 3 out of 4 taxpayers, at least $180. No one would get more than $200. So it's really benefiting everybody at the same amount. The next element is a package that amounts to $410 million in tax cuts for families.
Madam Chair?
Yes, sir.
At the risk of interrupting your momentum here, did you have a substitute you wanted to get before us?
Yes, it's drawn to this, and thank you for being the good chairman.
I have a motion and a second on the substitute. All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? All right, so you're addressing the substitute now. And your prior comments were addressed to the substitute, right?
I thank you, Mr. Chairman. Yes, I am, and I know that Tax Department and LIS has been hard at work all weekend, as we all communicated, to make sure that the numbers that I'm giving you and what will be in the fiscal impact statement and what is before you are all in sync. Now, having said that, to a CPA on board, they're all in the ballpark, are all best estimates of what all of this means. So now going on to the package of $410 million that is composed of three different tax cuts for families. The first one is to finally establish in Virginia a head of household standard deduction. Right now, you either are single or you're joint, you're married. But what about all those folks that are single heads of households that have dependents, that have kids, that have aging parents, that have disabled relatives or individuals that they are the prime care for, but they are treated as if they were single? So that is the element that adds $115 million. Then in addition to that, there's $400 for each child under age 6 and a tax cut for families earning under $100,000. And that I certainly give credit to Delegate Hernandez. Many of what you see before you is a package of a lot of good thoughts, ideas, desires of a lot of members over the time period. And then finally making the tax cut for working families that is so well administered, the earned income tax credit be permanently refundable, and that's $200 million. The next element, as I have alluded to in my comments, when I keep on referring to we need to keep up the standard deduction for inflation, the federal government does that year after year after year. The standard deduction now on the federal level is well over $30,000 for a married couple and is at about $15,000 for a single. And it's raised every year. So if we don't keep up with that, the 90% of the Virginians who file with a standard deduction will keep on falling further and further behind, which is in fact what has happened now going on 2 decades. Then the next element of it is to $330 million to finally end the tax on food and, of course, personal hygiene products. This would be about a $60 cut for an average family. And then I also wanted to put in the element of housing because the tax credit that I think has been the best administered in building affordable housing and keeping it in affordable housing stock rather than just being resold is the housing opportunity tax credit, and there's $10 million in the package for that. In addition, and now we come to Vintage Vivian chart. I wish I'd had time to get it blown up, but it is in your handout material, and I really do recommend that you all take a look at this. And the reason why I say that is that I put this together, give or take, sometime before Thanksgiving. I started working on it. I was shocked because my local government kept on talking about how high real estate taxes were, and they absolutely had nowhere to go but on the colonial measure of wealth of constantly raising property tax. What I find out, identifying my jurisdiction as Fairfax, they're 19th on this list. I had no idea that throughout our urban crescent, especially from Hampton Roads through the Richmond area up into Northern Virginia, you see half of the state's population is burdened by real estate taxes rates that are over $1. And I'm saying the rate, yes, you might have more expensive homes in those areas and raise more if you had the same rate. but to have a rate that is twice, 3 times elsewhere in the state is really burdensome, and it underscores that these localities have nowhere else to go. So in my package, what I am doing is taking 1% of the state's real income tax and returning it back to localities based on where it was raised. And that is still another chart, and I'm digressing to say, I have been heard to say, I haven't been able to get home on weekends, that I miss my color printer even more than I miss my husband and dog. But having said that, this one is not in color because it was just updated to reflect the figures of exactly what was being raised in House Bill 979. And in it, you will see then the approximate amount that 1% of the income tax returned to the locality where it was raised would mean in the reduction of the real estate tax based on the real estate tax as it was adopted in 24. So it gives you an idea that throughout the Commonwealth, this would be a benefit, but particularly it speaks to, again, what I refer to as the urban crescent, giving that breadth of ways in which we tax ability to pay, we raise funds from ability to pay, but also, most important, you'll see in some of the text on these charts that I have prepared and presented in other fields, the emphasis that our funding of K through 12 based on ability to pay has always assumed that a locality's ability to pay was reflected 40% by its adjusted gross income. And yet localities do not have any way to reach that 40% that they're supposed to be able to raise funds from. And this is one of the reasons why the only choice they have is again and again to go after the real estate tax. And again, I would emphasize that the real estate tax is particularly a problem as communities age. At suburban sprawl, maybe we all qualified for our mortgage, but 30, 40 years later, there's a lot of people on fixed incomes who cannot afford the house, the price of the house that they're being taxed on under current assessments. So having said that, now how do we pay for all of this? Because I absolutely am of the opinion that it has to be sustainable, and that's where I have in this bill the increase of 2 of our top rates, one at 8% for income, the income, not up to 600,000, but any income over 600,000 would be taxed at 8%. 600,000 is essentially the top bracket of the federal, and then 10% for any income beyond $1 million. What that raises is $2.4 billion in round numbers, and as you can see, as I highlight the bottom line, that this will fund the permanent tax cuts that I've just indicated, with local tax cuts at about $1.3 billion and state tax cuts at about $1.1 billion. And that is the package.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Let me just state the obvious here, which is, well, the part about my gratitude may not be obvious, but what I'm grateful for is clearly obvious, which is your hard work, not just this session, but every session. As chair of this committee, and when you were ranking on this committee. I remember those days as well.
I just like numbers.
No, well, you're very, very good at it. You're incredibly thoughtful about it. And it's just been clear to me since the day I started serving with you that you have the best interests of the citizens of the Commonwealth in mind and in your heart in terms of trying to get this body and this state to modernize, update, and make our tax system more fair. And I just want you to know I'm grateful, and I am willing to bet that the folks on this committee are grateful, and everyone in this room should be grateful. Now, having said all that, does any member of the committee have any questions for Delegate Watts? Delegate McNamara.
Thank you. I actually love a lot of this proposal. Not all of it, but especially the standard deduction. I think I think the relief might even be more than $200 if I could, just look at $24,000 joint versus 17,500 at 5.75%. Not everybody, but certainly some. I really like the food tax, which I think is I think it's a shame if we charge money on food, charge tax on food. We're one of a handful of states, less than a dozen at this point. So, I definitely, earned income tax credit, like that too. So I'll be interested to see where this goes, but I think there's some good qualities in this bill. Thank you.
Thank you, Delegate McNamara. Anyone else on the panel with questions for Delegate Watts? Okay, let's go to the audience. Just out of curiosity, if you could raise your hand, how many people are here to testify in favor of this bill? Okay, how many here testify opposed to this bill? Okay, excellent. So why don't we have the people come up in favor? I'm going to give, okay, it's a reasonable number. If I could ask the clerk to put a minute up on the board, try to keep your comments to a minute. That'd be great.
Thank you. Good afternoon, Mr. Chair, and thank you, Chair Watts. I'm Megan Davis with the Commonwealth Institute, and we're strongly supportive of the new income tax brackets. It's a long time that we update our tax brackets and make our tax code more fair. There's a few other features of this bill that we're very strongly supportive of. We think the new head of household distinction for the standard deduction is great for single parents and caregivers, and really appreciate making the EITC permanent, refundable EITC permanent. That's continuing strong progress that the legislature has made. And we've long supported establishing a child tax credit in Virginia, a refundable child tax credit, and this puts us on the path to that. And for those reasons, we support the bill and thank the Chair Watts.
Good afternoon. Allison Gilbreth, Voices for Virginia's Children. We want to thank the patron for long, diligent work on this issue. We just want to point out that 1 in 3 children in Virginia live in economically disadvantaged communities, and we believe that tax policy is a way to address that. So for those reasons, we ask you to support this bill. Thank you.
Mr. Chair, members of the subcommittee, Ryan O'Toole of Freedom, Virginia. First, I want to echo the chair's comments just to thank the patron for her work on this. This bill, we think, really meets the moment in terms of affordability. Regular people across the state need a break, and we think this bill achieves that through a variety of means, whether it's standard deduction, earned income tax credit, the child tax credit, and especially the elimination of the grocery tax, and just really deals with our out-of-date tax code, which hasn't been updated in about 36 years. So appreciate the patron. Hope you support the bill.
Good afternoon, Ashley Crocker with Progress Virginia. For the reasons already stated, we support the bill. Thank you.
To the chair and members of the committee, Reverend Dr. Lakeisha Cook, Virginia Interfaith Center for Public Policy, representing over 30,000 people of faith and goodwill of Virginia. We fully support this bill and we thank the patron for her work.
Good afternoon, Mr. Chair, members of the subcommittee. Tram Nguyen with New Virginia Majority. Want to echo everybody's thoughts and thanking Chair Watts for her diligent work on this. And I too, data and spreadsheets are my love language, so I appreciate the chart. We work with a lot of working class Virginians and lower income folks, and we do believe that this tax package addresses the affordability crisis that Virginia is facing right now, while also thinking about raising revenues. We strongly support the package. Thank you.
Good afternoon, Mr. Chair, members of the subcommittee. Isabel McLean with the Virginia Housing Alliance, and we also support the bill for the reasons previously stated, as well as specifically the increases to the Housing Opportunity Tax Credit. Thank you.
Thank you. Is there anyone here who wants to testify against this bill? Seeing none, we have a couple people online. How many do we have? Just one. Okay, can you put him or her up? Okay, this is Mr. McLucky. Nice to see you, sir. You have 1 minute.
Yes, thank you, Chair.
You have 1 minute.
Thank you, Chairman. Thank you. Thank you to the members of the distinguished subcommittee. My name is Robbie McLucky. I'm testifying today on behalf of the Consumer Healthcare Products Association, which represents manufacturers of over-the-counter medicines, dietary supplements, and over-the-counter medical devices. I'm here today to speak in support of House Bill 979. Also on two other bills, HB 13 and HB 703, which have similar exemptions for critical healthcare products. These bills make an important and practical step by eliminating the remaining local sales tax on menstrual products and adult incontinent products. These are items that are not discretionary, but essential for health, dignity, and daily life. Menstrual products are a basic necessity for women and girls, and adult incontinence products are critical for seniors, individuals with disabilities, and family caregivers. Research shows that many women struggle to afford menstrual products, with period poverty affecting students and working families alike. Over a lifetime, these costs add up significantly, and even small taxes can be a barrier for households already under strain. Similarly, taxing adult incontinence products disproportionately
if you could complete your comments quickly, please, sir.
Absolutely. Just in short, I'm here to support these bills as they make great increase consumer access to these critical products. Thank you very much for your time.
Thank you, sir. That's all we have online, right, Madam Clerk? Okay. Madam Chair, you get the last word here.
Mr. Chairman, there's one other thing. Council's brought to my attention. There are two other line amendments that are needed. If council can report those.
Yep. Thank you, Mr. Chair, Delegate Watts. So with the substitute, we're just going to amend line 759 and restore some language that was mistakenly added there. So we're just restoring the current law there. And then also, I think tax wanted a delayed enactment clause, so we're going to add that as well. So the motion would be a substitute as amended, if you report.
So
both of those are expected. They essentially, and the first one puts the law as it currently exists, and the second one was an expected delayed effective date of, I believe it's 27.
Okay, so I have a motion on the amendment. Is there a second? Second. All right, motion to accept the amendment, properly seconded. All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? So we have now an amended substitute before us. Delegate Watts, did you want the last word?
So my last word is thanks for all the good praise, but it's all just papers on a desk. What I'm hoping the committee will do, and this is a continued work in progress, as it has been for years. I was privileged to really work with local government for a long period of time so that I know it's not just state taxes, but it's a whole system of state and local. Many of the provisions that you see, as have been noted, other people have come forward with them, trying to pull them all together into a comprehensive package. It continues to be a work in progress. By adopting the substitute as amended, it will go online. It will be online, hopefully not for another 36 years. But it will be online to continue to be worked with. With that, knowing that it's a work in progress and how much input I have received, I would hope that the committee would carry the bill over so that all of this verbiage that we've gone through is all part of the ongoing dialogue as we move through not only this session, but hopefully in the near term when we're able to look at the kind of modernization, and this will be a part of whatever the decision process may be.
Thank you, Delegate Watts. The patron has suggested a motion to the committee. Do I hear a motion?
Mr. Chair, speaking of the bill.
Delegate Hernandez.
I just wanted to take a moment, Mr. Chair, to thank Uber Chair Watts for her tremendous expertise in this area, long-standing dedication to thinking through all the details and how they connect state and local, but also importantly for her mentorship for the younger members who are coming in and who are curious about tax policy, for better or for worse, depending on the day. But it's not something that I take for granted. I don't think any of us here do that. We're enormously grateful for you. And with that, I will honor your request to make your motion, if this is the appropriate time, Mr. Chair.
Let me ask counsel, we have another bill Delegate Converse Fowler, which I think we want to
She
incorporate
is
into
very
this.
comfortable with incorporating.
The question is, do we have to make that motion before we vote on carrying this bill over?
I'm honestly, I think that the motions question is better for the clerk, but I think that if we are going to carry forward, we could do a substitute to incorporate Converse Fowler's bill. I think that should be fine.
Why don't we do that at the request of Delegate Fowler, Converse Fowler, excuse me, which is HB 188. We would like to incorporate, she would like to incorporate her bill into Delegate Watts's 979. Is there a motion?
I so move. Second.
A motion properly seconded. All in favor? Any opposed? No. So that bill, Delegate Converse Fowler, is going to be incorporated into Delegate Watts. Now we have a motion on Delegate Watts.
And I move to carry the bill over to 2027.
Motion to carry this bill over to the next session properly seconded. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Delegate Watts?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, members of the committee, and it's not just the numbers person. They make a difference in real lives, and we need to help people with this kind of tax cuts that I have laid out. Now we have still another bill.
Yes, we do. This would be Delegate Watts 978.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. 978 has a different origin, but no less, I will say, personal. I guess my husband once said to, when I was 20 years in the minority, you know, if they gave her better assignments, she wouldn't have so much time on her hands. Well, this was time on my hands when COVID broke out. And I've seen 4-year terms. We're the only one with a 4-year governor. And that very often what we are presented with, if we need new revenue, is something that is very ivory tower or it's a political agenda. But is it right for Virginia? What does Virginia need? And one of the first things I discovered in April, maybe we just gotten the word in March because I didn't know what the federal government was going to do, was that Virginia was far more reliant on the income tax than any other state. One way of saying it, that the average state, for every $2 they get on income tax, they get $1.50 from retail sales taxes, from sales taxes. We get 50 cents. We have the 6th lowest in the nation narrowness of what we apply sales taxes to. I'm processing that, and I remember that JLARC way back in 2012 recommended that we needed to look at this picture at taxing services. Why? Because 50 years ago, the average family began spending more on services than goods, and it's now 2 to 1. So when we're looking at ability to pay, we are still taxing the person who has no choice but to do what they can for themselves as cheaply as they can, and we're charging taxes on the spark plugs and on the laundry soap. But we do not have the breadth of looking at discretionary taxes. This kind of sat until about 2 years ago when the governor came forth with a tax on digital services. And the digital services, and I do have a handout on that for some who may want to see some of it, basically underscores how it was defining what a digital service was. And the money committees 2 years ago said, okay, we will go ahead with the governor's package with one exception, and that is a type of digital service that is used by business that we're going to call consumable. It's sort of the same thing as if you went to Staples and bought your legal pad in past years. This is something that you're using for your own consumption of payroll, etc. And I would underscore that Virginia, while I hear you don't tax business to business, But we do constantly, because partly it's very hard to administer someone who says, but I'm a business, I shouldn't have to pay this. Instead, all we have done in the code is just when it comes to agriculture, when it comes to manufacturing, we do not tax the components of what will later be sold at retail. But other than that, yes, this is a perfectly appropriate taxation of those services. So with that, then, when you look at the entire package, again, I guess I don't have that handout for you all, but it basically, again, raises approximately $2.4 billion, but that is on the sales tax wherever it is applied. So it's a broader base for localities, it's a broader base for transportation, it's also, of course, a broader base for state and for regional transportation, et cetera. Let me emphasize what is exempted from this bill. And let me just start by saying anything that has to do with health care where you need licensure or certification from the state is excluded. So obviously, if you need physical therapy, it's excluded. But if it's the masseuse, I know it feels good, but it would be discretionary under the 2-to-1 spending that the typical family is able to do. It also excludes professional services. And on that, when I take a breath, there will be amendments from a number of people, and this is the third year that I put this bill in, and this year I got a lot of good input from people raising how certain things were phrased about whether this was intentional. And so, for example, the definition of professionals will have an expanded definition in the amendment. In addition, it does not tax any of the building and trades if you need any kind of permit to do it, which means it's a matter of public safety. Just like when you get a divorce, you need a professional lawyer. This is all of that quality of professional services are not taxed. But if you're just having the dishwasher repaired, and yeah, when we got out of college, we paid for the epoxy and got the rust spot away, and that would be, if you have that sort of service, that would be under a discretionary service approach. And then finally, essentially not taxing anything that's basically one-to-one relationships, but just taxing those services where you have contracted for them through a operation that has payroll and is a tax reporter. So that's essentially the outline of the bill. Again, there are a number of amendments that I need to be adopted, so they too can be online. Again, I would emphasize that as I've tried to struggle through the definition of a number of these things, it too is a work in progress. While the other bill had a lot of input from other members who have brought such bills forward, this is one where you do have to look at the fine print and make sure that your impact is in fact directed where it needs to be towards discretionary rather than essential services such as we tax essential goods.
So do we have a motion on Delegate Watt's amendment?
Move the amendment. Second.
I have a motion properly seconded. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? The amendment's before us and will be part of the record. Delegate McNamara wanted me to make sure that accountants would be exempt. Is that right?
Yes, it is assumed that there is a high quality of talent that is taken to be an accountant or bookkeeper.
All right. Any other questions from members of the panel for Delegate Watts? Seeing none. Any members of the audience want to testify in favor of HB 978? We'll use the same ground rules. If you could, a lot of you are under a minute, which is encouraged, but we'll put a minute on the board for you. Come on up.
Good afternoon, Mr. Chair, members of the committee. Megan Davis again with the Commonwealth Institute. We think that this is an important modernization of our sales tax to reflect the type of economy that we live in. Thank you. We support the bill.
Mr. Chair, Subcommittee, Ryan O'Toole with Freedom, Virginia. I'm just being brief. We support the bill. Thank the patron.
Thank you very much. Anyone here to testify against 978? Come on up. Same ground rules, sir. Well, you'll have a minute, but if you can beat that, we'll be grateful.
All right, thank you. Chair Sullivan, members of the committee, thank you for the opportunity to testify. My name is Jim Mertz, and I'm the president of the Self-Storage Association here in Virginia and the senior managing director for self-storage for the Peterson Companies in Fairfax, Virginia. We own 6 self-storage facilities in Virginia. Virginia is home to approximately 900 self-storage facilities, providing over 43 million square feet of essential space for residents and businesses. Our industry supports thousands of jobs across the state and serves families in transition, small business owners, and individuals facing difficult life circumstances. Self-storage is not a luxury, it's a necessity. Adding a sales tax to each monthly rental effectively increases costs. That's going to force people to either forego storage altogether or find self-storage in a neighboring state. We ask you to take self-storage out of the bill. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Next, please.
Mr. Chairman, Delegate Watts, and members of the committee, thank you for the opportunity to testify. My name is John Luger, and I'm the owner of Virginia Varsity Storage that operates 5 storage facilities in the Roanoke and New River Valley. I'm also a member of the Board of Directors and past president of the Virginia Self-Storage Association, which represents many of the 900 facilities in the state. I respectfully request that the self-storage be removed from both House Bill 900 and House Bill 978. Every day I see the critical role storage facilities play in serving our communities. Therefore, I strongly oppose the legislative proposals to impose a tax on self-storage unit rentals. This tax would unfairly impact low-income users who form a significant portion of our customers and add an additional burden to what is a necessity to many. Consider the demographics. According to industry surveys, nearly 1/3 of self-storage customers earn less than $50,000 annually. Thank you for your time and consideration.
Thank you, sir. Y'all can decide. Yes, ma'am. Feel free to move up close.
Good afternoon, Mr. Chair, and thank you for having me. My name is Faye Pritchard, and I am a member of the Hanover County Board of Supervisors. I'm the only Democratic member of the Hanover County Board of Supervisors and the only one in 40 years. And I love Delegate Watts, so it's a little bit difficult for me to come right here. But this bill negatively impacts working families and small businesses in my community. It might seem very well that having your house cleaned is a luxury, but in fact, for the women who clean those houses, that's a day-to-day income stream to feed their children. And when prices go up, people cut back on services. I'm not concerned about larger businesses who can afford to assume the responsibility for this tax. I'm much more concerned about the smaller businesses who cannot and losing their business to the larger businesses, as well as the folks who will be negatively impacted by what they have to pay. And I'm right on time. Thank you.
Look at that. You hit the mark perfectly. Thank you. Like a good Democrat. Who's next?
Chair Sullivan and committee members, I appreciate the chance to address you today. My name is Jack Carvalho. I sit on the board of the Virginia Self-Storage Association, as well as work as a development manager on self-storage for Peterson Companies in Fairfax. Our industry supports its communities by providing much-needed space for those going through different times of change in their life, whether it's a move or if it's something more catastrophic, such as a death, divorce, or forced downsizing. Including a tax for self-storage in this bill is a negative for our customers and will affect their day-to-day lives and financial livelihood. So for these reasons, I ask you to exclude self-storage from these bills, and thank you for your time.
Thank you, sir.
Good afternoon, Mr. Chairman, members. Ethan Betterton with the Virginia Chamber of Commerce. Have received a lot of input on this bill from our members. Look forward to reviewing the amendments, and would really appreciate Chair Watts' time and always hearing our concerns and thoughts. So thank you.
Mr. Chairman, my name is Sean Davis, and I serve as the chair of the board for the Hanover County Board of Supervisors, and I proudly serve with Ms. Pritchard. I also serve on the board of directors for the Virginia Association of Counties. I serve as a national member on the board of directors for the National Association of Development Organizations, and I don't say this as a bona fide. I come to say that I have a lot of background when it comes to taxing on small businesses, particularly this. And throughout the nation, we've seen problems with this, and I certainly respect Delegate Watts. But everything Ms. Pritchard said is accurate. Serving as chair of the Central Virginia Transportation Authority, there are other tools in this esteemed body's toolbox that you could use other than this. And I think the impacts, while I recognize the revenue that would come in, could be greater than those perceived benefits of taxing those on these services. So thank you very much. We appreciate your time.
Thank you, sir.
And as a Republican, I finished sooner than Ms.
Well, your board meetings must be lickety-split. That's great. Very impressive.
Good afternoon, Mr. Chairman, members of the committee. Tommy Herbert, representing the Virginia Restaurant, Lodging, and Travel Association. First off, great respect for the patron, for her for meeting with us and talking over our concerns. We are here to oppose particularly for this bill's applicability to admissions and applying retail and sales and use tax to admissions. We're here on behalf of our attraction members who are operating at a time in decreasing customer certainty. And so as localities are in greater measure taxing admissions as is in their authority, also applying the retail sales and use tax to admissions will also constitute yet another barrier between the consumer and their ability to enjoy our attractions. So we hope you'll oppose the bill.
Thank you, sir.
Mr. Chairman, members of the subcommittee, Travis Smiley with the Virginia Food Industry Association, here to oppose the bill. I'd like to point that, with the taxation on delivery services imposed in HB 1970 or 978, this would directly raise the cost for grocery delivery options and delivery network companies who are all valued members of our association, and with a particular respect for vulnerable populations such as the elderly and those with low mobility who may rely on these services in order to get the products that they need, not just the food. We do have respect for the grocery exemptions in the bill. But for that and a bevy of other reasons that you've already heard, we stand in opposition. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Smiley. Yes, ma'am.
Mr. Chairman, members of the committee, Jody Roth on behalf of Virginia Retail Federation. We also oppose this bill based on the comments from the Chamber and Travis with the Grocery Association. Colorado did recently do a study on the effects of some of these taxes, particularly the delivery taxes, on the vulnerable population, the disabled, and the lower income folks. And happy to share that as well. And always hate opposing Delegate Watts' bill.
That was very gentle. Thank you.
Hi,
Yes,
Mr. Chair, members of the subcommittee. My name is Clayton Medford with the Northern Virginia Chamber of Commerce. Ask that you oppose the bill for the reasons stated prior and understand that we're all facing a lot of uncertainty as a result of policy changes in Washington, and we believe that and share the goal of increasing affordability for Virginians, but feel like the best way to do that is to invest in the Northern Virginia economy and not to raise taxes on services. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. That seems to be it for in the room. Online, we have several witnesses. Is Mr. Blocker on? Mr. Blocker?
Yes.
You're here to testify in favor of this bill?
Yes.
Yes, please, sir. You have a minute.
Thank you. Good afternoon. My name is Alex Blocker from the Legal Aid Justice Center. And the Legal Aid Justice Center supports modernizing the sales tax as well as other revenue raising measures because increasing revenue is essential if the state is to fully fund public schools as well as other services that Virginians rely on. So for that reason, we support this bill. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. I don't think we have anyone else here to testify in favor, so let me turn to those who I have at least listed as want to testify in opposition. Mr. Holmes? Mr. Mark Holmes?
Yes, Chair, here.
Yes, sir, you have 1 minute.
Good afternoon, Chair Sullivan and members of the subcommittee. I'm Mark Holmes, tax counsel with the Council on State Taxation. COST is a nonprofit trade association representing more than 500 multi-state corporations, many with a significant presence in Virginia. COST's objective is to preserve and promote equitable and non-discriminatory state and local taxation of multi-jurisdictional business entities, and we thank you for the opportunity to comment on 978. Cost supports efforts to modernize state tax systems. However, 978 would significantly expand Virginia's base to include digital property services and numerous other service categories without sufficient business-to-business exemptions. Taxing business inputs leads to pyramiding where taxes imposed multiple times in the production chain, inflating costs and hiding the true effective tax rate. That burden ultimately falls on Virginians through lower wages and on consumers through higher prices. For these reasons, cost reduce amendments to 978 that establish broad tax exemption for business inputs. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Holmes. Mr. Rignanti, you're next.
My name is Charles Rignanti, and I represent the Health and Fitness Association. In Virginia alone, fitness facilities contribute nearly $120 million in state and local taxes. Most facilities operate on thin margins and serve price-sensitive consumers. So when the price goes up,
Mr. Rignanti, you must have hit the wrong button. We just lost your audio. Right after you talked about the price going up. There you go. You're back.
Okay. All right, I'm back. Participation goes down, especially among lower income individuals, older adults, and people at higher health risk. And our research shows that affordability is the single strongest predictor of fitness participation. Taxing fitness does not simply raise revenue, it discourages prevention. We asked the subcommittee to amend this bill to exempt fitness memberships, personal training services, nutritional services, and structured physical activity programs.
Thank you, sir. Mr. Dean, Glenn Dean, you're next. Mr. Dean, you are muted, although it doesn't show that you're muted, but we can't hear you. No, now it looks like you're muted. Can you try again? Hit your... Sir, we cannot hear you. Tell you what, I'm going to come back to you. We'll see if we can work that out. Mr. Crater?
Hello, Chair Sullivan and members of the subcommittee. My name is Chris Crater. I'm privileged to lead ACAC Fitness and Wellness Centers, a family-owned business founded in Virginia in 1984. I'm here to speak against the inclusion of fitness and related services in HB 900 and HB 978. I can tell you that our industry is essential. We have had healthcare providers send over 100,000 patients simply just to our organization for programs such as prediabetes treatment, cancer programs, fall prevention, et cetera. We also would like to battle the perception that we are an industry that serves the young. You know, in 2025 alone, over 40% of our attendance was from those 55 and up. As alluded to earlier, our businesses do operate on thin margins, and small increases in price can, from my 20 years of experience, have negative effects on consumer behavior. And so for the health of the Commonwealth and for all those in it, we strongly encourage the committee to exempt fitness and related services from HB 900 and 978.
Thank you, Mr. Crater. Ms. Durkin, you're up.
Good afternoon, Chair Sullivan and members of the committee. My name is Margaret Durkin, and I'm with TechNet, a tech trade association. I submitted written remarks outlining our concerns, and I echo the concerns of others, specifically on some of the new taxable items, such as companion animal care and delivery services. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Durkin. Let's try one more time. Mr. Dean, you try to unmute. We'll see if we can hear you. No, it still looks on our screen as if you're muted, sir. I'm looking at our tech people. It's on the other side. All right, Mr. Dean, we're not able to hear you, sir. If you're certainly still invited to submit your comments online, but I'm afraid we cannot hear you. I wish I could explain it, but I can't. All right. Madam Chair, do you want the last word?
Actually, we have a series of amendments that I don't believe were adopted.
Okay,
the amendments were adopted that address some of the points that you've heard. And again, those then will be public as we continue to refine what is the best target of this. So I have two things to say in closing. One, you don't raise taxes unless there's a need for them. So in the bill that I put in on this one, 40% of the money raised would go to high-need student populations, 60% would go to school-age populations. So I'm looking at K through 12. Hopefully, we will come to a sound funding decision on K through 12, and this becomes an opportunity to have the kind of funding, since we are so far below other states in what we contribute to K through 12 costs. The other thing I will leave you with, and thank you for the reference to mentoring, way back, and I'm not quite sure, might have been one of my very first tax studies, 15 pages, single space with footnotes, was a wonderful phrase I ran into was, be careful of people who hide behind the skirts of select widows and orphans. And the reason I say that is that for everything, we need to use the fine pencil. We need tight analysis. For example, the number one reason that people use Uber is for late night snacks and when they're at hotels and motels. So this is different from the Walmart delivery, and making sure that we have all of these things carefully analyzed and targeted, so that when we talk about ability to pay to our very best that we can, we target on the appropriate way in which we approach ability to pay beyond just the laundry soap.
Thank you, Delegate Watts. Any questions, any other further comments from members of the committee? Is there a motion?
I would move that.
Oh, well, let's move the amendments.
And I second that.
All right, properly seconded. All in favor?
Aye.
All right, the amendments are before us. Any further motions?
I would move that we carry this bill over to 2027.
I have a motion properly seconded to carry this bill over to 2027. All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? All right, that bill will be carried over to 2027. One bit of administrivia here. I've been in communication with Delegate Price, the patron of HB 372, who's not going to be able to join us. She has authorized me to ask for a motion from the committee to carry this bill over to 2027.
So move.
It's moved and seconded. Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, HB 372 will be carried over. Delegate Tata, I see you there. Hold on. Delegate Hurt, do you have to be anywhere? She's been sitting there for a long while. Where do you need to be?
Please.
Let her go. Go ahead.
I'll be quick.
We'd appreciate it. This, I'm sorry, this is HB
703.
703.
Correct. Okay. HB 703 eliminates the remaining 1% local sales and use tax that is imposed on food purchased for human consumption and essential personal hygiene products. Mr. Chair, affordability continues to be a pressing issue for all Virginians. We've just been hearing all about it. For seniors on a fixed income, for young professionals starting out, for parents trying to keep a growing family fed, every dollar counts at the checkout counter. Under current law, no other sales and use taxes applied to these products. 703 removes the regressive tax on necessities by eliminating that final 1% local tax, delivering the greatest aid to the lower and middle income on necessities and offering predictable monthly relief. It was designed to be a win for our citizens without being a loss for our localities. We understand localities and counties rely on this revenue for services like public safety and schools, so this bill requires the Commonwealth to allocate some of this $2.7 billion surplus to distribute an equivalent amount of revenue back to our counties and cities each month. HB 703 is about keeping more money in the pockets of hardworking Virginians and finishing what we started by ending the grocery tax once and for all. Virginians were promised affordability, and this bill directly delivers on that promise. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, Delegate Tata. Any questions for Delegate Tata from members of the committee?
Yes.
Oh, Delegate Carroll.
Mr. Chairman, question for the patron.
Go ahead.
Yes, Delegate Taylor, question. I see the desire. I know we just went over some numbers. I want to say it's about $330 million to end this tax on food and personal consumption. My question is, what's the recommendation on how we pay for it?
Mr. Chair, I would respond that based on, as I mentioned before, we have $2.7 billion surplus, and I think they refer to some of that as budget dust. So that's it. We have the money. Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Thank you for the question.
Any other questions for Delegate Tata? Or is there anyone in the audience who wants to testify in favor of HB 703? All right, same ground rules. You'll have a minute. If you can do it in less, that'd be even better.
Hello, Mr. Chair, members of the subcommittee. My name is Elena Whitlock. I'm with the Family Foundation, and we are in support of the bill. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am.
Mr. Chair, members, Tom Torcio with the Virginia Catholic Conference, and we support the bill. You may have heard of the Kids Hungry Virginia poll that came out late last year. 6 in 10, 60% of the adults and 2 in 3 families say that they have to choose between buying enough nutritious food and affording other essentials like paying for gas or transportation, utilities, etc. So I know you're intimately familiar with the affordability issues that we're dealing with here, and this would go a long way to address the needs of working families with children. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Anyone here to testify? Are you for or against, ma'am? Against? All right, please come on up. Yes, ma'am.
Good afternoon, Mr. Chair and members of the subcommittee. I'm Katie Boyle with the Virginia Association of Counties, and similar to bills that you've heard along this line in the past, we so appreciate the intention behind this legislation. Our reservation is that with the bills as structured before you today is that this leaves localities reliant on the state to continue finding the money for the hold harmless into the future. And we know Delegate Tata, Delegate McNamara, other patrons who've carried these bills, you fully intend to continue that hold harmless. And if it were up to everyone here today, that commitment would always be honored. But we have to worry about what will happen far into the future when the state may not be in such a strong financial position. You know, and unfortunately, we've already had that experience happen where shortly after the state portion of the grocery tax was eliminated in January 2023, the previous governor did not include the hold harmless in the introduced budget in December 2023, as was statutorily required. We had to come to the General Assembly and ask you to honor that commitment. We're extremely grateful that the General Assembly found that money during the 2024 session, but we just worry about creating another area where we're reliant on the state to hold us harmless.
Yes,
Thank you.
Thank you. Yes, sir.
Mr. Chairman and members, Joe Flores with VML. When you think about the menu of options that we have at the local level to generate revenues, it's not very popular. It's personal property taxes, it's real estate, it's BPOL, a number of those measures that have been proposed to reduce throughout the years. So this is one revenue source, as was mentioned, brings in more than $300 million a year and is used flexibly in our communities. And this bill would remove that option, notwithstanding the intention to replace those revenues. That's, again, $300 million a year that you guys probably don't have right now in your budgets to address and would further constrain those options that you have. So respectfully, we would have to oppose this measure. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. I see we have no one online for this particular bill. So any further comments or questions from members of the panel? Delegate McNamara, you're reaching for your button. There you are. Yes, sir.
Could I comment on the bill, Mr.
Delegate McNamara?
So I think the time is long past to stop taxing groceries. When we talk about affordability, there is no single more regressive tax than a grocery tax. It's something people have to have. Everybody has to have. Rich people, poor people, everybody in between has to buy groceries. How do we pay for it? Big question. It's $330 million. $330 million is a lot of money. I'll tell you what else is a lot of money. It's the amount our budget has grown over our original forecast, which is $1.2 billion, which is 4 times the size of the grocery tax. And that's what we grew just in the first 6 months of this fiscal year. That's not one-time money. That is ongoing money. I think if we really want to make an impact to Virginians, this is what I would consider the low-hanging fruit. We want to make life more affordable. This does it. We have the money to do it, and it's past time to do it. So I'd be glad to make a motion if the time is right.
Thank you, Delegate McNamara. Hold on just a second. Delegate Tata, do you want the last word?
No, I appreciate Delegate McNamara's comments, and I say amen to that.
Thank you. Is there a motion?
Motion to report.
Substitute motion.
What's your motion?
Mr. Chair, I move that we continue this until 2027.
I have a motion to continue until 2027. It's properly seconded. All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries. Thank you, Delegate
Thank you,
Taylor.
Mr.
Next is Delegate Hernandez. Who has been very patient because he's supposed to be in 3 other places. This is HB 1074. Delegate Hernandez.
Thank you, Mr. Chair and members of the committee. This bill is, in some ways, my contribution to the conversation around comprehensive tax reform, and specifically the ways in which we might think about making life more affordable for families by providing a series of tax cuts, but also being realistic about some of the structural imbalance that we know we're facing because of federal cuts, in particular to SNAP and Medicaid, which will be a growing problem not just for this biennium, but particularly in the coming bienniums. In this bill, though, I want to highlight a number of tax cuts, and I take it as a great compliment to me that you'll recall a lot of these same ones that were just presented in our Uber Chair's bill as well. So first up, we are increasing the standard deduction in this bill to $10,000 for single filers, $20,000 for married filers. This is where the lion's share of the tax relief in this package comes from. As was mentioned, 90% plus of Virginia filers use the standard deduction. It's a significant middle-class tax cut. The next that I'm particularly excited about is a new child tax credit, a fully refundable credit that provides $400 per dependent under the age of 6 for filers who earn less than $100,000 adjusted gross income. The novelty here that I think is interesting with the CTC is that this bill tries to take a page from the federal version that existed in the wake of COVID-19, where not all of the payment came right at once, but instead was given in a series of payments to families to help them keep afloat at a time where the economy was really wobbly. Here, what we've set up is really an option for the tax department. They would create the rules, but the idea is that families would have a choice. They could either take the full amount of the credit at the normal tax time, or they could opt for advance payments so that, for example, right before the beginning of the school year, when families have to pay for backpacks and school supplies, that this credit might put a little extra funds in their pockets for all of that. So I'm excited about that piece and wanted to emphasize. The next piece here is tax relief for our veterans, and specifically, this bill would bump up the military retirement income subtraction. This committee well knows it's been at $40,000 for a number of years. This bill would increase it to $60,000 and then peg it to inflation. This is not just a recognition of the service that veterans have given to the Commonwealth and to the country, but also that there are other states across the country that are competing quite aggressively to have these folks come to their states, and we want to respond to that and make sure we're taking care of this community. Like Chair Watts' bill, this also makes permanent the improvements to the Earned Income Tax Credit and increases the credit from 20% to 25% of the federal credit. EITC, as again this committee will know, is one of the most powerful anti-poverty tax tools that we have in the toolbox. So important, I think, to make more progress there. And then the final set of tax cuts is really in response to the chaos coming from D.C., in particular the failure of Congress to extend the Affordable Care Act subsidies, which I'm sure you all have heard from your constituents. I know I've heard from mine, who are deeply concerned, as you might imagine, about premiums that are doubling or in some cases tripling. And this bill is an effort to respond to the chaos in D.C. by making available up to $50 million in fully refundable tax credits to help families who earn up to 250% of the federal poverty level to offset some of those higher costs. It's not perfect, but is an effort to take a stab at it. We're able to do all of that by creating a new tax bracket specifically for the highest earners, so a new tax bracket of 7.75% for those earning in excess of $1 million. This would be the first update since 1987. It would make sure that teachers and firefighters are no longer in the same tax bracket as millionaires, and collectively, I think you can think this bill flips the script on H.R. 1, which disproportionately benefited the very, very top earners from a tax perspective. So that's the bill in a nutshell, in an effort to advance affordability, but also advance fairness in the tax code. And this bill, too, is a work in progress, and hope we'll continue to have conversations as we move forward on these important topics.
Thank you, Delegate Hernandez. Do any members of the panel have any questions for Delegate Hernandez? Seeing none, is there anyone in the audience who wants to testify in favor of HB 1074? You all know the ground rules.
Mr. Chairman and members of this committee, my name is Beatrice Samberman. I am the chair of the Virginia Coalition of Latino Organizations, and I want to thank Delegate Hernandez for his forward thinking about the healthcare, the education of people in need in Virginia. So I'm here to support his bill.
Thank you, ma'am. Yes, ma'am.
Hello again, Mr. Chair, Megan Davis with the Commonwealth Institute. We thank Delegate Hernandez for bringing forward this bill and continuing to work on making our tax code more fair. The bill is would be a boost to families across the Commonwealth, in particular thinking about the increase to the refundable earned income tax credit. For a married couple who make $30,000 a year with 2 children, this would mean $358 more back at tax time. And we also, once again, support the child tax credit in this bill. We think this puts us on a path forward to making a meaningful child tax credit in Virginia, boosting incomes of families with young children. And for those reasons, we support the bill. Thank you.
Mr. Chair, members of the committee, Allison Gilbreth with Voices for Virginia's Children. We strongly support this bill. We think that family economic security is the foundation for children's ability to thrive. And we want to continue to ask for your support as we think this is a great opportunity to address what is happening with H.R. 1 and the impacts for children, particularly children from lower economic communities and children of color. So for those reasons, we ask you to support the bill. Thank you.
Mr. Chair, Subcommittee, Ryan O'Toole with Freedom Virginia. For reasons mentioned earlier on some of the other bills, we do support, and in particular want to point out and just thank the patron for his attention to the work on the enhanced premium tax credits, a really critical issue that we hope you all will look favorably on. Thank you.
Good afternoon, Mr. Chair, members of the committee. Chloe Edwards, Policy Director at New Virginia Majority. We represent working class families across the state and support this bill because it contributes to affordability and keeps more cash in the pockets of working class families. Thank you.
Good afternoon, Chairman and members of the committee. My name is Monica Sarmiento. I'm the Executive Director for the Virginia Coalition for Human Rights. We're a coalition of 54 organizations. We'd like to thank the patron for carrying this bill. We fully support this bill as this really goes ahead and actually gives a lifeline to families who urgently need some sort of affordability pipeline. Thank you.
To the chair, members of the committee, Reverend Lakeisha Cook, Virginia Interfaith Center for Public Policy. We thank the patron for his work on this bill, and we fully support it. Thank you.
Good afternoon, Mr. Chair, members of the subcommittee. Isabel McLean with the Virginia Housing Alliance, and for the reasons previously stated, we support the bill.
Thank you. Anyone here to testify against HB 1074? I think we have one person online. Mr. Blocker, you're here to testify in favor?
Yes, I am.
Okay, sir, you have the floor. Go ahead.
Thank you. My name is Alex Blocker from the Legal Aid Justice Center, and we support this bill because we need the wealthiest Virginians to pay their fair share so the state can invest in public schools and reduce the burden on local governments as well as on middle and lower income Virginians. The legislature has taken good steps in recent years to increase K-12 funding, but we're only going to reach the scale of investment that JLARC has recommended if there's the revenue to do so. And so the state can take in that additional revenue in an equitable way through this bill. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. We have no one else online, no one else in the room. Any further questions for Delegate Hernandez? Delegate Hernandez, do you want the last word?
I thank the committee.
Great last words. The bill's back before the committee.
Mr. Chair.
Delegate Pope Adams.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Given the nuances of this bill and our ongoing conversations, I move that the committee continue this bill until 2027.
I have a motion to carry over this bill to the 2027 session, properly seconded. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed?
Thank you.
That conversation going, Delegate Hernandez. And thank you for your patience. Delegate McNamara, you have two bills, 12 and 13. You filed them early.
Thank you.
Which do you want to do first?
Madam Chair. So 12 is identical to what you heard from Delegate Tata. Do you want to just take action on it, similar to Delegate Tata?
Carry the bill over until 2027?
Second.
All right, there's a motion properly second. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, 12, we will carry over to the next session.
Thank you.
HB 13.
HB 13 is a very, very clean bill from the perspective, excuse me, did we do 12?
We did 12.
We did. Is there any way you could reconsider that? Because that bill is not the equivalent. HB 13 is the equivalent.
All right, is there a motion to reconsider from someone who, well, we all voted on
Having
prevailing side.
voted on the prevailing side,
Yeah.
Mr. Chair, I move that we reconsider.
The motion to carry over HB 12, that's what you're talking about? Yeah.
Yes.
Is there a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
All right, we're going to reconsider that vote. HB 12 is what you want to talk about?
Yes, thank you. And
So,
again, I apologize.
Is it HB 13 you wanted us to carry over?
HB 13 would be carried over.
Is there a motion to HB 13?
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
Moved and properly seconded. All in favor? Any opposed? All right, HB 13 is carried over. And then we now have HB 12 in front of us.
Thank you. So HB 12 is a very, very simple, clean bill that removes the sunset of the enhanced standard deduction that we have been under for the last several years. As you well know, on a bipartisan basis, we've gradually increased the standard deduction. Republicans and Democrats both have strongly supported it. Your Uber chair had a proposal earlier that increased it even higher from where it is now. I've always been supportive of the higher standard deduction. The reason why I think it's worth reporting this bill, it is, by, I would say, full disclosure, it is part of the conformity bill, but we also know we ran into this with the pass-through entity tax bill last year, where we thought we had it in another bill and the Senate thought differently. So this is another option to make sure that we don't end up with begging budget conferees to add something in the budget because it was not one of our bills we thought was going to be routine, didn't end up being routine. So it's very clean, very simple. We have to take action on the enhanced standard deduction. Otherwise, it will drop back to, on a married couple, it'll drop from $17,500 down to $6,000. That is a $661 increase to that filer. I will also say this provision is part of the budget. So there is not a fiscal impact. The budget was put together assuming that this would be extended, and this is just a formality to make sure we have another avenue that this is extended. That's the bill.
Any questions from members of the panel? Delegate Watts.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I believe at this point I am a voting member of the panel.
Yes.
So sharing then the perspective, as the patron has already said, it is part of the budget bill as introduced. It's in the conformity bill. I'm 99% sure it was in the action that we just took on HB 29. And if we were to report it, it would have to go to appropriations. So in the spirit of cooperation between finance and appropriations, I really think that it would be appropriate at the right time to simply table the bill rather than shake a finger at appropriations that we don't trust them after having taken the 4 steps that they have taken.
Well, before you make that motion, is there anyone in the audience who wants to testify in favor of HB 12?
Mr. Chairman, members of the subcommittee, I'm Steve Rossi with the Family Foundation, and we absolutely agree 100% with everything Delegate McNamara said about maintaining where the standard deduction is now, or it could be a big shock to a lot of families to see the deduction decrease dramatically. Thank you.
Hello, my name is Royce Amaro, and I support Bill HB 12. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Anyone here to testify against HB 12? We have no one online. Delegate McNamara, you want the last word?
No, thank you for the opportunity to present it.
Madam Chair, did you have a motion?
With all due respect, I may gently lay this on the table.
I have a motion to lay the bill on the table, properly seconded. All in, I guess we have to record this one. Could you put it on the board?
But no. Thank you very much, Mr. Chair and members of the committee.
The motion passes by a vote of 5-2. All right, the last bill on the docket is my bill. In the interest of time, I'll just do that from here. This is HB 900. Y'all may have detected a pattern, so I'm going to be as quick as I can here, just to give the sense of the group a sense of what the bill did. HB 900 is a bill I've been referring to as the statewide transit and transportation bill. We've talked a lot this evening or this afternoon about how our sales and use tax structure is badly outdated in Virginia. It's been way too long since we've taken any real action to update it. It's inefficient, it's inequitable, and HB 900, like some of the other bills we've heard today, would modernize Virginia's sales tax structure while lowering the overall sales tax around the Commonwealth. That would have direct benefits for residents as well as our local and state economies, not to mention our aging infrastructure. The big talking points are that it would reduce household costs by lowering the overall sales tax, which of course makes goods more affordable, and eliminate the grocery tax, which would put money back in the pockets of Virginians. It would extend and modernize Virginia's base sales and use tax. So taxes on day one would, once we overall lowered the sales tax and the grocery taxes on day one would be lower or gone. And then the bill has some provisions in it, not unlike Delegate Watts' relating to services. This bill would provide a lot of financial relief to localities, which would create an opportunity for them to perhaps lower property taxes or spend money on things like K through 12 education. The bill is also directed at trying to bring some relief relating to statewide transit and transportation needs. It would have, I talked about it in the past tense already, it would direct money that would boost the Commonwealth Transportation Fund, which of course aids statewide transit. It would boost money relating to highway and rail and other transportation and transit investments. It would direct money towards DRPT and those operating funds for all Virginia's transit agency across the state, Hampton Roads, Greater Richmond, Blacksburg, and Northern Virginia. There would be increased regional transportation funds and dedicated transit funds providing all sorts of transportation benefits in Hampton Roads, in Central Virginia, to I-81, I-95, I-64. Some money with respect to regional transportation funds up with the NVTA, and a lot of more dedicated transit funds relating to WMATA and VRE and local bus systems. It would also have added a regional highway use fee. So the bill is directed at doing two things: modernizing our sales tax structure and taking a real swing at finding dedicated funding for transit all across the state. And no matter where you're talking about this money going and which part of the state, that's crucial to Virginia's economy. Speaking as a Northern Virginian, we all know the importance that the Northern Virginia economy plays in the state. We have obligations to WMATA and Metro that are upcoming and that Maryland and D.C. are watching. And this bill would have addressed those. Having said all that, as I said, you've probably noticed a pattern here. This bill is still the topic of some conversation, so like some before me, I would invite a motion to carry this over to next session.
So moved. Second.
I have a motion to carry it over to next session. I'm wondering if I should take this motion. You should probably take this motion, Delegate Pope Adams.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Are there any questions of the committee?
This, just so everyone knows, this is sort of a battlefield promotion. I believe this is Delegate Pope Adams' first time chairing a hearing.
Yes. Are there any questions from the committee?
Madam Chair?
Yes.
Yeah. Madam Chair, I do appreciate portions of the bill, speaking to the bill, the grocery tax removal, I applaud on that. I am concerned from the transportation component of it. The thing that caught my eye is that we were reducing our state of good repair money from 51 to 47%. We have a significant, almost a $6 billion backlog in maintenance in the highways. This has come in front of our body over the last several years, and there's a concern, particularly in rural areas, that we're struggling to be able to maintain our rural roads. And so I would be concerned that this model would have too much variability in it and that we would anticipate revenues, and then due to a change in the economy, we would have a challenge to be able to meet those commitments. And was just wondering if that had been considered in the development of this bill or any other comments the delegate may have, Madam Chair. Thank you.
Madam Chair, the answer to the delegate's question is yes, it had been. The cuts to the percentages, the way the bill will hopefully work someday is that the cuts to percentages would be more than outweighed by other monies directed in those same directions. So while there would be cuts to the percentages, the amounts of money would actually go up. So with that, I would invite Madam Chair to ask for a motion.
Should I ask for support? No. Okay. All right. This committee operates by motion. So moved. All right. It's been moved and properly second that we continue this bill until 2027. All those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? All right. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you. Congratulations, Delegate Pope Adams. Trial by fire. Ladies and gentlemen, that concludes our business here. Thank you for being here. We are adjourned.